One of the worst I've worked in my 53 years in law enforcement.
She's seen everything. She was in the car, and she says her mommy is dead. And she says Sade is dead and Vic is dead. She said all the time.
This is the story of Shavawn Murray and her two best friends, Victoria Pugh and Sade Trevino, three young women whose lives were intertwined by friendship and tragically cut short by violence. Shavawn, a 23-year-old mother from Memphis, had traveled to Holly Springs, Mississippi, to pick up her 3-year-old daughter from Nathan Stewart, her child's father. Accompanied by her close friends, 23-year-old Victoria and 24-year-old Sade, they had no idea their visit would end in a horrific tragedy. On July 14, 2024, in an act of unimaginable violence, Nathan Stewart shot and killed all three women in front of his 3-year-old daughter. How could a visit to pick up their child end in such unimaginable tragedy? Welcome to Viral Crimes. Subscribe and hit the bell icon for more stories. This story takes us to Holly Springs, Mississippi. Nestled in the northern part of the state, Holly Springs has a rich history and is often celebrated for its southern charm. However, this tranquil setting was shattered by a tragic crime that claimed the lives of 4 individuals, forever altering the fabric of this community. At the center of this tragedy was Shavawn Elise Murray, a 23-year-old mother from Memphis, Tennessee. Born on September 8, 2000, Shavawn was close to her sister and 2 brothers. She was a deeply family-oriented person, and her most cherished role in life was being the mother of her 3-year-old daughter, Nellie Stewart. Shavawn, affectionately known as Mookie to her loved ones, was a dedicated and ambitious young woman with big dreams for her future. She was studying to become a nurse and was just a few steps away from fulfilling her lifelong dream. Her passion for helping others extended beyond her family, as she was working hard to complete her training as a registered nurse. Her warm, caring personality made her a natural in the medical field, and those around her often described her as compassionate, strong, and determined. Her friends and family remember her as someone who always put others first, especially when it came to her daughter, Nalia. She was fiercely protective and devoted to ensuring her little girl had a loving, supportive upbringing. Shavawn's closest friends, Sade Trevino and Victoria Pugh, shared in her zest for life and ambition. Sade Trevino, 24, was born in St. Louis, Missouri, on March 14, 2000. She was a shining light in her family's life. Sade was described as a selfless and strong individual, always willing to lend a hand to those in need. She had just completed her certified medical assistant training and was well on her way to building a career in healthcare. Her mother proudly shared that Sade had graduated with a 4.0 GPA, and her graduation ceremony was scheduled to take place just weeks after her untimely death. Sade was not only academically gifted but also known for her unwavering loyalty to her friends. Her friendship with Shavawn was one of those rare, deep connections that spanned years. Together, they navigated life's challenges, celebrating each other's successes and supporting one another through hardships. Sade had a nurturing spirit, and her love for children was evident, as she often doted on Nalia and treated her as if she were her own. Victoria Pugh, 23, born on April 3, 2001, was also from Memphis, Tennessee, and had aspirations of becoming a therapist. Her friends lovingly referred to her as Vicky, and she was known for her calm, empathetic nature. Victoria had an innate ability to listen, which made her the perfect confidant for those around her. Her dream of becoming a mental health counselor reflected her desire to help others overcome personal struggles, much like she had done in her own life. Those who knew Victoria admired her patience, kindness, and determination to make a difference in the world. Victoria and Shavawn shared a special bond that grew even stronger through their shared experiences as young women pursuing education and their dreams in Memphis. Along with Sade, the 3 women formed a tight-knit group, relying on each other for advice, support, and, most importantly, friendship. They were often seen together, enjoying simple joys like weekend outings, long conversations about their goals, and mutual encouragement in both personal and professional endeavors. Despite their individual challenges, Shavawn, Sade, and Victoria were united in their pursuit of better lives for themselves and their loved ones. They were all hard-working, compassionate women with bright futures ahead of them. Shavawn Murray was in a relationship with Nathan Stewart, the man responsible for the heartbreaking events that unfolded. The two had been romantically involved for several years, and together they shared a beautiful 3-year-old daughter. While their relationship brought forth their precious child, it was far from harmonious. Tensions between the couple had been brewing for quite some time, and those closest to Shavawn had become increasingly concerned for her well-being. Nathan Stewart had a history of abusive behavior, which became a terrifying part of Shavawn's life. According to reports, the relationship had turned dangerous in 2021 when Nathan attacked Shavawn's mother, Rita Finney, stabbing her multiple times and even harming the family dog. This violent incident was a red flag, revealing Nathan's volatile temper and his growing propensity for violence. He was charged at the time, and there were restraining orders in place, but unfortunately, the legal actions did not prevent the further breakdown of the relationship. Despite the warnings and the abusive incidents, Shavawn remained connected to Nathan, largely because they shared custody of their daughter. Tragically, who could have imagined that the bond meant to nurture their child would ultimately lead to the loss of 3 precious lives? On Sunday, July 14, 2024, the peaceful town of Holly Springs, Mississippi was shattered by a horrifying event. At around 5:30 p.m., the Holly Springs Police Department received a call reporting a shooting in the 1000 block of West Woodward Avenue. When law enforcement arrived at the scene, they found a scene of devastation. 4 bodies with gunshot wounds, and the sole survivor was a 3-year-old girl, Nalia Stewart, covered in blood but physically unharmed. The 4 victims were identified as Nathan Stewart, Shavawn Murray, Victoria Pugh, and Sharday Trevino. The 3 women had been shot and were found inside a newer model Hyundai parked in the driveway, while Nathan Stewart's body was discovered outside the car, near the driveway. Their tragic death shocked not just Holly Springs but the entire region, especially since this event occurred in front of Nathan and Shavawn's young daughter, Nalia. Shavawn Murray had traveled from Memphis to Holly Springs on that Sunday to pick up her daughter. Accompanied by her 2 close friends, Victoria Pugh and Sharday Trevino, the women had likely come with no expectation of the horrific confrontation that awaited them. According to Rita Finney, Shavawn's mother, the tragedy unfolded after an argument between Shavawn and Nathan, reportedly over their child. Rita revealed that her daughter had reached for a gun in self-defense, but Nathan began shooting before she had a chance to protect herself. The 3 women had no chance of survival, as the brutal attack unfolded quickly. In a heart-wrenching act of bravery, Victoria Pugh, seated in the back with Nalia, shielded the child by pushing her down into the floorboard, possibly saving her life. Nalia, who witnessed her mother and the others being killed, later told her grandmother, "Mommy is dead. Sharday is dead. Vicky is dead." The investigation that followed was swift but left more questions than answers. Marshall County Sheriff Kenny Dickerson quickly labeled the shooting a murder-suicide, although the final confirmation awaited forensic evidence. Based on witness testimony, including Nalia's, law enforcement pieced together that Nathan Stewart had fatally shot Shavawn, Victoria, and Sharday before turning the gun on himself. The Marshall County Violent Crimes Task Force was brought in to assist in gathering forensic evidence. Investigators worked tirelessly, collecting photographs, markings, and attempting to locate any surveillance footage from nearby homes. Despite this, Sheriff Dickerson expressed frustration that it might take days for the state crime lab to provide the forensic autopsy results, which would conclusively confirm the murder-suicide theory. As of the latest reports, no other suspects were being sought, and no third-party involvement was suspected. The tragedy sent shockwaves through Holly Springs and beyond. Nancy Stewart, Nathan's aunt, expressed disbelief and sorrow over the violent events, noting that 2 of the victims were friends from Memphis, and that one, Shavawn, was Nathan's fiancée, a detail later contradicted by Shavawn's family. Mayor Sharon Gibson of Holly Springs visited the crime scene and offered condolences, emphasizing the loss felt by the entire community.
How does a 3-year-old process seeing her mother and her mother's 2 close friends gunned down right in front of her, the child's father allegedly the shooter?
The officer did tell me that whoever was in the back shielded her under the seat.
Investigators in Marshall County believe 27-year-old Nathan Stewart fired the fatal shots. Deputies say that 3-year-old witnessed the murder of her mother, 23-year-old Shavawn Murray, 23-year-old Sharday Trevino, and 23-year-old Victoria Pugh. Rita Finney, Shavawn's mother and the grandmother of the 3-year-old, says investigators believe Victoria Pugh is the one who shielded her granddaughter.
And that was the only reason she probably lived.
Finney says her daughter and the other 2 women in the car live in Memphis, but Stewart, the alleged shooter, and his family live in Holly Springs. So his mom was keeping the baby?
Yes.
Babysitting.
Babysitting.
She was babysitting, yes.
But she says when her daughter and her daughter's two friends went to pick up her granddaughter, the child's mother and Stewart got into an argument.
I know the altercation started over the baby. It's probably you're not taking the baby, and I know it went left.
Finney says previous claims her daughter and the alleged shooter were engaged are incorrect.
In her heart, she just wanted Nalia to still know the other side of her family as well. And sometimes things just don't go well when you have a good heart and you try it.
At this point in the interview, I asked the mother what, if anything, she thought could be learned from all of this. She says first to young women who share custody of their children.
Make a meeting place at the police department through a third party. Just be a little bit more careful. Don't argue with them. You don't know what people is capable of.
She has this message to parents.
Do something for your child if they're in a bad situation, abusive, verbally, just do something. I don't care if you have to get up, move with them. You won't be in my shoes, I promise you.
In the aftermath, the families of the victims struggled with their grief. Shardae's mother mourned her daughter, who had been weeks away from graduating with a perfect 4.0 GPA. Despite their sorrow, both Rita Finney and Shardae's mother, Karenina, have since spoken publicly, urging other young women in potentially dangerous domestic situations to take greater precautions when co-parenting with volatile individuals. Rita, still haunted by her daughter's brutal death, reflected on the steps that could have been taken to prevent such a tragedy, expressing regret that more wasn't done after Nathan's previous threats and violent behavior. As of now, the case remains technically open, pending the final results of the forensic investigation, though it is widely believed that Nathan Stewart was responsible for the murders and his own death. Autopsy results are still awaited to officially close the case as a murder-suicide. Nalia, now left without her mother and father, is in the care of extended family, and community members have rallied to support her through fundraising efforts. A GoFundMe campaign was launched to assist with covering funeral expenses and to provide for the young girl's future. Her maternal grandmother, Rita Finney, has stepped into the role of primary caregiver, grappling with the challenge of raising a child who witnessed such unspeakable violence. The community continues to remember the victims, Shavawn, Victoria, Shardae, and Nathan, and the profound loss felt by those who loved them. Funeral services for the three women were held throughout July and August, with hundreds gathering to pay their respects. Memorials, vigils, and continued calls for justice remain as poignant reminders of the fragile line between life and tragedy. What happened to Shavawn Murray, Victoria Pugh, and Shardae Trevino should never have happened if stricter legal actions had been taken after his prior incidents, such as more comprehensive restraining orders or mandated psychological intervention. The escalation to this horrific crime may have been avoided. Systems meant to protect victims of abuse must be more responsive to the clear patterns of danger. This tragedy also underscores the need for safer methods of child custody exchanges in volatile situations. Supervised visitation or neutral locations like police stations could have drastically reduced the risk. Family members and friends also play a crucial role in recognizing abuse and offering support, whether by urging the victim to seek legal protection or helping them escape dangerous situations. The loss of these 4 lives is a painful reminder of how domestic violence can quickly turn fatal, and it is essential that society, law enforcement, and lawmakers take more decisive action to prevent future tragedies. My condolences to the victims' friends and loved ones. May you continue to heal and one day find peace. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.